Hello, YouTube. Thanks for stopping by. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on alerts so you know exactly when we go live. Let's say Ryan Wilson shows up 10 minutes late twice in 1 week. We'll still go live when he shows up. And you'll know because you'll get that alert on your phone, on your device. I just got mine right now on my telephone. So hit alerts. Turn them on.
Telephone. What are you, 80?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is, quick math here, Monday, June 13th. If you're listening to the podcast, is that right?
You can use your fingers.
Sounds right.
That is right.
Yes.
Everything's on the table.
Angry Wilson. Yes. If you're watching, it is Friday, June the 10th. On YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. But, of course, we love our listeners as well. June 13th. We are so close to Ryan Wilson turning 54. It's incredible. That's a big one.
Your birthday's the day before mine. How old are you going to be again?
41. 35 if you ask the youth.
Oh, yeah, you were on the podcast Wednesday when this guy was telling all sorts of lies, Breech. He said not one, but 2 3-year-olds informed him that he looks like he's 35 or younger.
Okay, 3-year-olds are literally the least reliable age guessers. I had a 3-year-old.
I didn't say 3-year-olds.
Debo
sure.
did, but I'm sure Debo's more right than this.
3-year-old once guessed that I was 18, and then
There we go.
5 minutes later, another 3-year-old guessed that I was 64.
And that's exactly what Debo's point was, and that explains a lot as to why Brinson, if he's even telling any shred of truth, was talking to someone younger than 5.
I don't really have a ton of
Friends
conversations
in that age group.
with 3-year-olds.
Yeah, tell it to the
If a 3-year-old was like, "You look like you're 97," I'm not going to be like, "Oh, by the way, a 3-year-old thinks I'm 97."
No,
Well, maybe
when
you
a
could
3-year-old
take that-
says you're 35, you're going to bring that up.
But maybe you should take that as a compliment. If like a 3-year-old thinks that 1,000 is old, then 97 is actually pretty young. So you have to get the frame of reference there before you grill them.
And there you go, folks. That's the serial killer point of view.
I hear 3-year-old crying in my house right now.
Mm.
The irony.
Wait, Annabelle's
Serial
not
3?
No.
No.
Unless he's kidnapped a 3-year-old. That's what he's saying.
Why is a 3-year-old crying in your house?
He's 2, but it's the same thing.
Because he kidnapped a 3-year-old.
How are you finding the 2-year-old, the terrible twosomes going so far? Terrible twos going so far.
You know what? This baby is not. This kid's not a whiner,
This
but
baby.
definitely.
Oh, you're
terrible
in
twos.
between baby and kid. That's a tough spot.
The terrible twos do come with some extra whining.
Well,
That
look,
is
before we start, it's funny you mentioned that, Breech, because I was going through the Would You Rathers while Brinson was getting his hair plugs ready. So we'll do this one quickly and we'll go on. Would you rather, speaking of the terrible twos, have a baby that cries twice as loud and often as other babies, or one that goes
next is
one that goes to the bathroom twice as often but is very quiet and well behaved?
well-behaved kid in a heartbeat. Poop
No,
your
but you're changing
face off,
diapers
bro.
all day long. You're changing poopy diapers all day long.
I mean, Breech isn't.
No, he is. Breech
Brinson's
changes diapers.
got the nanny changing diapers.
Yeah,
Breech does not look
Brinson,
like a diaper changer.
Brinson has not changed one diaper.
I've changed lots of diapers.
Which ones do you want, Breech?
I own diapers, frankly.
Yeah, I shockingly, I think I agree with Brinson. I think that once you start changing,
Shockingly, this is an easy one.
well, once you start changing the dirty diapers, it's a cycle. You don't smell it, you don't think about it. It's just like you get in, you get out, you're done, you throw the diaper away.
You don't
And-
even
but
mind
then
if you eat it.
you don't have to deal with. And if we're talking about it's double the output, is that what it says? It's like
Yeah.
if the kid only takes a dump once a day, you're only going up to twice a day. That's not a lot.
Well, I mean, I think it's more. It's the frequency. It could be once an hour, for example. I mean, the point is that it's enough to give you pause. But I think, yeah, you sort of just you go to your special place and you clean the diaper. I mean, by the end, you're getting it on you. You don't even care. You just want to get done with it. And I think if the baby's being quiet, because worst case scenario is baby poops, loose stool, yelling and screaming, kicking legs, and it's all sorts of things.
I mean, I'll take poopy baby versus screamy baby.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Well, I think if you do have a young kid, you do realize that sleep is the most important factor. If you have a kid crying all the time, you're not going to get any sleep, and then your life's just over. I'd be crabby on all these podcasts.
Do you know how good a dad I was? when my oldest son he must have been like 6 months old or something, maybe 5 months old or something. We were upstairs in his room on the changing table, which is basically on top of a chest of drawers. You put a little baby up there, and I left the diapers downstairs. So I had already opened his diaper. It had, poop all in or whatever. So I was like, I can't put the diaper back on him. So I opened the bottom drawer, the top drawer, and the drawers underneath it, just in case. Sprinted downstairs, and I probably got 3 steps outside the room. He rolled off the bed and fell off this little bed and fell into this little drawers there. I was like, yeah, you'll be fine. So I said, hey, look, it's called being smart.
I cannot believe that literally 12 years later, somebody from Child Services is going to be listening to this podcast and show up at Wilson's house.
I'm sure worse has happened. All right, let's go. Now we know how Breech feels about poopy diapers.
Oh, my God.
Well, yeah. I guess now we can finally get to the important matters.
Mailbag!
Thank you, Breech. And we start from whatever 69 from Germany. Greetings. Oh, boy. Everyone is saying that Watson is a superstar quarterback, ? Mostly because he led the league in passing yards the last time he was on the field, 4 wins. Fair point. Everyone is enamored by that. Davis, Mills, and Taylor got them also to 4 wins. The roster wasn't better. I know Billy or Brinson wasn't there anymore. Well, a better situation. I am not a great tape head, but I think the Browns made a terrible trade. Even excluding the off-field allegations, with them, is it, in my opinion, much worse. I see that he is talented, but I think the Browns paid too much for a good but not great quarterback in terms of money and draft capital. What do you think about that? Or what are you thinking? Best regards, Stefan from Germany. First of all,
I think Stefan is onto something, actually.
I think he might be onto something.
I heard folks make this point. He didn't play last year, Deshaun Watson. That's a concern. He
did not play.
What'd you say?
He got paid and did not play.
Yeah, but the point is he didn't get the reps. That's what I mean. The pay and stuff. That's a whole different conversation. And we've talked in recent weeks that we don't know when he's going to play again. He may have to sit out half the year, maybe more than that. So maybe he hasn't played a whole year and a half by the time he gets back on the field.
And also Trey Lance. He's an older Trey Lance. With off-field allegations.
Not if that works, but anyway. And also the specter of playing in Cleveland, which is always seems to things go sideways for that fan base. I don't think it's crazy. Now, look, Davis Mills, and we've talked about this as well. He had zero pressure. Like he could have thrown 10 interceptions a game, and he still was going to start the last half of the season or whatever it was. I thought he played pretty well, and I think that's encouraging, so on and so forth. And Deshaun Watson is clearly better than Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor put together. And Deshaun Watson is probably a top 5 quarterback. I think he currently leads active quarterbacks in completion percentage, and of course, our guy Kirby Cousins is number 2, which either hurts or helps the stat depending on which way you look at it. But I don't think it's a done deal that Deshaun Watson is the savior in Cleveland. I don't know what the odds look like now, but as recently as 2 weeks ago, it was Cincy and Baltimore at the top. And then I think Cleveland was close behind in terms of odds to win the division. The Steelers were further back. I don't know if Cleveland's dropped more. If they have, it certainly would make sense given the recent developments in the news off the field.
Well, I think, Wilson, one thing did you just say you think Watson is a top 5 quarterback?
In general, yeah. I think he's,
I don't think he is. And so, you'd probably put Patrick Mahomes above him, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Just clearly. For this upcoming season. Josh Allen.
No, you said probably.
All right,
yes.
Definitely put Patrick Mahomes above him.
Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tom Brady?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what Tom Brady is.
No.
But Justin Herbert. Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Wait.
Like I absolutely think Deshaun Watson's a top 10 quarterback, but I'm not sure that he's a top 5 quarterback.
He is.
And the idea,
if we not a top 5 quarterback.
If we just look at this from a completely football standpoint, the idea of trading 3 first-round draft picks and giving $230 million fully guaranteed to someone, as Ryan mentioned, did not play a single snap of football last season, so sat out a whole entire year, is not a top 5 quarterback. And like our reader pointed out, only won 4 games in 2020. I'm not so sure. It just seems like the Browns went a little crazy. And that's just from a football standpoint. You throw in, obviously, 24 sexual assault lawsuits. It just becomes, it looks like a dumb decision.
So let me ask you this.
Would you take Deshaun Watson over Matthew Stafford for 2022?
I don't. I mean, 2023 is the question because I haven't seen.
Okay, I mean,
because I haven't seen Deshaun Watson play. Like he may be truly terrible. I don't know. But yeah, next year,
Deshaun.
What'd you say now?
Dak or Deshaun for 2022?
I'd probably take Dak just because I've seen Dak
Dude.
play. That's the
Lamar
issue.
or Deshaun?
Lamar.
Lamar
should be
Are
in
we
that top
sure
5.
Deshaun's a top 10 quarterback?
Russell Wilson or
Russ-
Deshaun.
Russell.
I mean, like, obviously, I'm
But
taking
again,
Stafford.
go back 2 years and have these same conversations, and you're going to get different answers. Just because we saw
course.
Deshaun Watson play, and that's a huge issue.
Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson for 2022.
That's all right. I'll take who's the backup that went to Cal?
Sam Darnold or Deshaun.
Davis.
But
Webb.
Brinson, the point stands, and you naming these quarterbacks stands that Watson's barely. He's a top 10 quarterback, but not even
Maybe.
like you could argue him out of it. And I don't think any of us except for Wilson think he could crack the top 5.
Hey Debo, assuming no off-field issues with Deshaun Watson and him still not having played until whenever he played last, and for the compensation, would you want Deshaun Watson in Philadelphia over Jalen Hurts? Oh, he's making calls.
Oh boy,
I am making
1-800 calls.
but
976.
just knowing kind of the capital that they have built up and had this year, no, not really. Like I'd rather take my chances on someone else.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
I told you before, like he was outside my top 10, and for me to say Dak Prescott over Deshaun Watson, I feel like means something, and I fully believe that.
Devo's got the moral high ground on us.
So
Pointing down, going pew pew.
how big of a role does Cleveland play? Like, let's say again, assuming no off-field issues, just so we can have this conversation.
Let's put it in New England.
I was going to say, how much better would you feel? Because those rosters, you could argue that Cleveland's roster outside of quarterback is better than
Cleveland's
New
roster
England.
is definitely better than New England.
So how many wins in the AFC North with Cleveland versus how many wins in the AFC East with the Patriots? It's going to be, I feel, substantially different. No?
Are you asking Debo?
No, I'm asking you. I'm
I
asking
felt like
you.
you're asking
You're,
me.
you're on the podcast right now, Breech. I'm
I
asking
felt
you.
like you were asking
Well,
me.
you were Brinson thought you were asking.
Yeah,
Debo.
I was.
Oh,
be
well,
quiet.
we both thought it. You
Why is
clearly
he
did not have a
asking
good
Debo
segue.
why is he asking Debo at the Patriots?
So what was
I'm
the question? I tuned out because I thought you were talking to Debo.
Yeah, once the operator went off the screen, I was off the audio. I was no longer talking to Debo. Assuming that you trade,
You will be connected in 7.7 minutes.
please enter your credit card information for John Doe.
Type 7 if you want to talk to Dane.
Talk to Illusion. Breech, the question was, and this is just me sort of long way around getting to the point that Cleveland could be cursed itself. As I was saying to Brinson, the Cleveland roster on paper outside of quarterback is much better than the Patriots roster, at least slightly better. You would imagine, given that Cleveland win more football games, but tell me how many wins Deshaun Watson gets in Cleveland versus how many wins he would get in New England.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he probably gets 10 wins in Cleveland and 10 wins in New England.
10
in Cleveland?
If he plays the whole season, yeah, I think he gets 9 or 10 wins.
No, I'm thinking like 7 or 8
if he plays the whole season
in Cleveland. Yeah,
you can't say he's a top 10 quarterback and he gets 7 wins in Cleveland.
I mean, Ryan,
my point is that Cleveland plays a big.
If Watson played the whole season, they might start 4-0. They play the Jets and the Panthers and the Falcons in the first 3 weeks.
I think a full season, no off-field issues.
Yeah.
Is 10 wins.
Well, how many in New England then?
Because you had 4 in Houston's point. I think 10 in New England.
Well, my contention, and this, you guys are just crapping all over my point. I think he wins like 10 or 11 in New England. He wins 7 or 8 in Cleveland. My point is that Cleveland, outside of wherever you rank Deshaun Watson, is inherently cursed as a sports town. That was my point.
No, we basically agreed with you, because if we're saying the Patriots, who have a lesser roster, can still get as many wins with Watson as the Browns, who have a better roster, that's still essentially agreeing with what you're saying.
I wanted more agreement.
Oh, sorry.
I think the larger point that Stefan from Germany was making exists, though. Like, the Browns not only may have screwed up by trading for Deshaun Watson because of the off-field stuff, but maybe they did. Maybe when this is all said and done, if he's suspended half a year, a full year, a quarter of a year, 3/4 of a year, that this will look like a bad trade by the Browns because Watson just isn't as good as he once looked at various points in time.
Mary Kay Cat.
What I was going to say real quick is that, the Stefan pointed out that, hey, Deshaun Watson led the NFL in passing yards in 2020, but they only won 4 games. But, he did lead the Texans to the playoffs 2 times in 4 years, had a 24-0 lead on the Chiefs. So it's not like, he was good.
Yeah, you know what? I made like a 36 on my ACT, 5 on my AP English exam. So like whatever.
Yeah,
What
that
are
was
you
like
talking
20
about?
years ago. This wasn't 20 years
Exactly.
ago. It's not 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 7 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
No, please. It was 100 years ago when it happened.
But, when they were going to the playoffs in 2018 and 2019, he was throwing to DeAndre Hopkins, who was in his prime. And do the Browns? Yes, they have Amari Cooper, but do they have anybody as good as DeAndre Hopkins was in 2018, 2019?
They also have a
Probably
play
not.
caller, Kevin Stefanski, who has, over the course of his career, limited the number of passing attempts and throws for quarterbacks. Now, I was sort of under the impression that they were changing their offense based on some of the stuff that you read this offseason and sort of some of the stuff they've done. But they have Amari Cooper's awesome. They have weapons, but I don't know. All right, more Browns talk.
Hold on. Mary Kay Cabot tweeted out on Friday afternoon that the Browns are still all in on Deshaun Watson and not looking to void the record $230 million contract or trade with the Texans. League sources tell Cleveland.com.
AKA the lawyers haven't found a loophole.
I mean,
again, this is June 10th.
They're gonna. Why wouldn't they say that? You have to say that. You can't turn on Deshaun Watson. You can't turn on Deshaun Watson on June 10th. Like, if the NFL comes out next month and says he's suspended for a year, then maybe you turn on Deshaun Watson. You're saying, yeah, we're going to get these guarantees voided. We don't want him. We're going to get the trade rescinded. But right now, you have to back him. You don't have a choice. You just gave up everything.
And by the way,
how bad it is that they're having to they're like, we are not attempting to void the largest contract.
Let me put it to you a different way. What did you think was going to happen when you signed Deshaun? What did you think was going to happen when you signed Deshaun Watson or traded for him? Excuse me.
This.
Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
So why? I don't know if they're acting surprised or not, but this should come as no surprise.
The Browns traded for someone who had 22 sexual misconduct lawsuits hanging over his head. And they thought things were going to get better after the trade, unresolved, and not, now obviously the number's up to 24, but that's on the Browns for thinking that things were magically going to get fixed. Like, that's just insane.
And again, we talked about this. He has been accused of nothing. The 2 grand juries chose not to convene, but this isn't a legal issue. This is a Roger Goodell, whoever's going to make the decisions, haphazardly making rulings issue, which has been the sort of the NFL's MO for the last.
But
10,
also even the grand jury thing, Ryan, as the New York Times story pointed out, that Rusty Hardin, Deshaun Watson's lawyer, is chummy with the district attorney, met with him a dozen times, met and talked with him over the phone, whether it was in person, on the phone. They talked often, and they talked so often that Tony Busby, the lawyer for the plaintiffs, was just like, I had no idea these two were talking that often. So that could have played a role in why.
That was a, if you are a legal aficionado, a fascinating little nugget. Like, the DA was like, whoa. I'm sorry, you talked to Rusty Hardin 14 times about this case? He's like, I've gotten 2.5 minutes. Right.
The plaintiff's attorney, not the.
Oh, yeah, Tony Busby. Yeah, excuse me, not the DA. Yeah. Or he's talking
about the DA.
He was talking to the DA.
The DA won't talk to Busby.
Right,
but he's best friends
with the DA in communicating civil and criminal cases. Either way, it's like Rusty Hardin's like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? Just having a good old Wednesday. Yeah, that's great. I know. Roger Clemens was a mess up. Well, I almost got him off. But anyway, back to that Deshaun Watson thing. And they talked for like 9 minutes, and then the DA Tony Busby calls, and he's like, hello, this is Tony Busby calling about the 22 civil lawsuits with Deshaun Watson." He's like, hey, Tony, I really don't have any time right now. I'm gonna have to go. And
I got someone in my office, and it's actually
he's like, here's my paralegal. And like Rusty Hardin's talking to him like for just an hour and a half every time he calls. Anywho, more Browns talk from @TheWalkingGoat1.
Ooh.
On Twitter, I believe. Does he fancy himself the walking goat? What's the deal there?
Tom Brady's the walking goat.
Was paying David Njoku early and trying to jump the big tight end contracts a smart move?
Smarter than the Deshaun Watson trade.
What a big jam! Wallace took it in his.
I mean, I think the thinking was that
No, the answer is no. There's there's 4 quarterbacks paid above it, David Njoku, and it's George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, and Mark Andrews. I don't know if you guys know what those guys have in common that David Njoku doesn't, but it's production on the field.
Yeah, the price tag is a concern, but if you think this is the year, and he wanted to be traded last year at some point, maybe after the season, you cut Austin Hooper, who was a blocking tight end primarily after paying him a lot of money, and now you have Harrison Bryant, and I don't have the roster in front of me, but I don't think they have a whole lot else at the tight end position. But tight ends are sort of important to what Stefanski does typically, but who knows what the offense will look like. Njoku, Brian Harrison, Miller Forstall out of Alabama, and that's about it. So yeah, they don't have a lot there. I don't know. I don't love it just for the prices you mentioned, Brinson, but on some level I understand it. But would you rather have Jarvis Landry? I don't know what he would want, or David Njoku. I think I'd rather have Jarvis Landry because David Njoku's not out there blocking people.
Well, who's throwing? Jacoby Brissett or Watson?
Well, I mean, you're signing this.
I mean, the next highest paid tight end, 2 tight ends after David Njoku per over the cap are Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, which is just weird because they're both on the same team. Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, Zach Ertz. I'll give you. Are you guys looking at this? Because if you're not, I'll give you
CJ Uzomah or Tyler Conklin.
No. I'll give you 100 guesses. You won't get it.
What conference?
It is the NFC.
NFC tight end.
Max Williams.
Kyle Pitts.
Nope. That's close though.
Oh, that's a good guess.
I just felt like going down to a rookie would have been something we
Kyle
wouldn't have
Pitts is two below the number that I'm looking at.
Gronkowski's not under contract.
You won't get it.
Who is it?
Never get it.
I don't even know. Who's the Saints tight end?
Is Darren Waller up there?
Oh, that was a good team guess, but I still don't think you'll get it.
It's not Saints?
It is the Saints.
Who's the Saints tight end, Breech? And he's
I don't know, but the way Brinson's grinning, I bet it's Taysom Hill. I never ever would have guessed if Wilson didn't say Saints, and then Brinson gave it away.
I feel seen.
Why is he listed? Oh, he is a tight end, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what the
Evan Ingram, Dave Kyle Pitts,
That's dumb.
Logan Thomas, Will Dissly. So, no, I don't think it was smart to get ahead of the curve and pay David Njoku. I don't mind the David Njoku contract because he's still very young.
Sounds like you do.
Well, you mentioned his production, and just to be clear, he has been in the NFL for 5 seasons. He has 1 season where he went over 500 yards receiving.
Is that his fault?
1.
No, it's probably.
I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I'm just saying that I'm not sure I'm paying someone $13.7 million a year when they have.
I'm pretty confident I'm not paying somebody $13.7 million a year if they haven't gone over 500 receiving yards in their career.
To put that in perspective, Travis Kelce has more yards over the past 2 seasons than Njoku has his entire career.
Yeah.
Would you rather have David Njoku or Taysom Hill?
Oh, don't ask me that. That's not fair. If I'm the Browns, probably Taysom Hill, since my quarterback's probably gonna be suspended. I can put Taysom back there.
Hey,
he can play quarterback and tight end.
All right.
Boom. Yeah, this is just a weird, because there's, Njoku was never going to be the highest paid tight end. So it's almost like you're bidding against yourself here. And once you hit him with the franchise tag, you're giving him at least $11 million per year. And then I just don't understand what leverage Njoku had to get this big of a contract.
$13 million.
Again, not the most questionable decision that the Browns have made in the last 6 months.
I know. It's like you could have signed Will Dissly to a $12 million a year contract. Everybody be like, well, yes, that was probably a mistake, but let's focus on the Deshaun Watson contract.
Nobody will notice the Njoku contract.
Exactly. I feel like there's got to be some sort of. Nope. Oh my. Boy, there is.
Like an out in the contract? Is that what you're
no out in this contract whatsoever? Okay. All right. Man. They can't. This is a 3-year deal. They can't get out of with 2 void years in the back end. What are they doing?
They also signed Denzel Ward to 5-year, $100 million. No one cares about that. For a point of reference, Jadeveon Clowney signed a 1-year, $11 million deal. You could argue, I don't know, he didn't have a great year last year. You could argue that he's worth more than he's worth his contract more than Njoku is, but
I would much rather have David Njoku on a 1 year, $11 million deal than whatever contract he's on.
all right. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying. Again, that's why I'm skeptical of the Browns. It's just they can't get out of their own way.
They might be idiots. They might still be terrible at their jobs. Zachary Kajar. I mispronounced that. Sorry.
Probably
Costas
just Jar.
was killing me for my mispronunciations of so
Soul.
many. Yeah.
What'd you mispronounce? You'll say it
The
incorrectly.
irony is that Brinson is the guy who
I
always
know.
plays.
It means he can read.
I actually played that on the show yesterday. I was like, if you think that's bad, wait till you hear this.
Tyron Matthew.
I think I said, what was it? It was something. My point was that like some of the stuff I mispronounced is like, so, all right, there's an oil company, big ship, the Valdez wrecked off the coast of Alaska. What would you call that? If you stop in at a gas station, what would you call it?
Exxon.
Right. What would you call it, Breech?
EXXON. How do you say
still
that?
muted. You're still muted.
Exxon.
Say it again.
Exxon.
Right. I say eggs on.
Eggs on. EG.
Eggs on. Yes. I basically say eggs on.
Yeah.
There's another one I did that cost us
like there's eggs on your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like but I think the reason why is because I live in. I don't really talk like a Southerner per se, but I live in a place where that's all I hear, right? So like
when I go back to Harnett County, I slip into.
If I was a real redneck, I'd be like, man, I gotta tell you, Flo, I'll head on up and get some gas at the eggs on. And so like that makes sense. If you have that inflection
in that context, it sounds like EXX. But when you're
you have been brainwashed.
When I'm saying like eggs on, it sounds ridiculous.
You said a lot of ridiculous things.
Why were you talking about oil spills? That's a bigger question.
He's pro oil spill. That's why.
There's something else I was mispronouncing that's like an EXX, I think. Oh no. Costas asked me, all right, so how do you say the full version of ETC period comma?
Et cetera.
Yes.
Not etc.
How do you say it, Breech? Now Breech used to say it first because Breech
etc.
Oh boy.
He doesn't know how to say it. He said it fast.
He's just like I love lamp. I say etc.
You say EX.
Etc. Yeah.
How about
so like I'm going down to the store. I'm gonna get some hay. I'm gonna get some feed. Get a bushel of whatever they got there, local seafood, etc.
Yeah, like that when you're making fun of
right. But if I said it like that, it sounds perfectly fine. When I say etc., it sounds ridiculous.
What about the little star behind the word to note a footnote at the bottom?
Asterisk.
How do you say that, Brinson?
Asterix.
he is worse than you at saying these words. I think Breech mispronounces 3 words. And he only uses them football related terms, and that's why we always get them. Yeah, Brinson doesn't know anything.
Asterisk.
Asterisk.
How do you say it?
Risk at the end. Asterisk.
Oh, not Asterix.
No.
Oh my God.
Zachary asked, which team in the NFL is most likely to make the 2021 Bengals leap this year in 2022? Okay, so we have to figure out which NFL team is most likely to come out of nowhere and lose the Super Bowl.
Oh, he missed! He missed! Oh, and he may have pulled a hamstring or a muscle, and there is complete elation.
So
that clip applies to you because you missed with that joke. Yes.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
So it's funny that you asked that question. Who's that, Zachary? Yeah, Zachary. Because Garrett Podell of CBSSports.com wrote a story on Friday, an 8-minute read, as it turns out.
Oh, you know what? Let's do a teaser. We'll say Wilson's going to tell you what this story says coming up after the break next. Go ahead, Wilson.
So have you guys seen this headline or the story?
No.
Breech, have you?
I have seen the headline. I have not read the story.
Brinson, why don't you guess? You get 3 guesses which team could make the Bengals-like leap. Breech knows it because he saw the headline. I'll give you a hint. Just think second year quarterback. So that narrows it down considerably.
Patriots.
Wrong.
You have to assume that they were dog doo-doo the year before.
No, hold on. Because
So I have to assume they've been a terrible football team for like a decade.
that's not what the question
30
says.
years of losing? Does it built in?
No.
This question is not
Pathetic
specific.
losers who can't win anything for
A
years and
Bengals-
years and
a
years, and
Bengals
finally
like
stumble into a
league.
modicum of success, only to have their hearts ripped out by Matthew Stafford. It's a very specific scenario.
They have literally been to the playoffs 5 times in the past decade, Brinson.
My God,
I mean, those
without
games
a
they
win.
5 times.
You were
5 out of
crying
10.
when they won when they beat the Raiders.
He was crying when they lost to the Steelers, thanks to what's a linebacker's name? I can never remember his name.
Oh, Vontae's perfect.
Vontae's perfect.
Yes.
That
was a
different.
cry night for Breech too. So not the Patriots.
Chicago?
No, I don't think they're close. if
Thank
we're
God.
being honest.
Punches kid.
Got 2 or 3
I don't even
more.
think Brinson's thinking like the correct qualifier here. If you're thinking of
Oh, the
team that's-
Jaguars.
No.
it's close. That fits your hint finally.
You got one more because the other one doesn't fit.
The Jets?
Yes. That's what Garrett wrote. That's what Garrett Padell wrote. To the Jets. Coaching comparison. Different branches of the same Sean McVay tree. That's one comparison.
Oh.
QB comparison. Painful rookie year to playoff bound potentially.
I mean, Zach Wilson and Joe Burrow don't really have the same.
Burrow's rookie year was a trillion times better, except that he tore his ACL and Zach
except
Wilson
his
didn't.
knee fell.
Yeah,
off.
Zach Wilson would have loved to have torn his ACL just to be done.
Listen,
with
I would
it.
imagine this isn't the easiest story to write. Hey, go write something about the Jets making the playoffs. So I give Garrett credit. Building the offense primarily through the draft, defense primarily through free agency. Nothing?
No.
All right. Well, who is your team most likely to make a Bengals-like leap?
Oh, this is specific to the Jets. This is not what teams could be the.
Oh, that was the story. That's not the question.
Yeah, the question and the story are different, but I saw the headline after seeing the question.
But the story related to the question
Right. So
randomly. So I think there's 2 things you have to look at here, because you're saying what team can make a Bengals-like leap. If you're talking about a last place team that could get to the Super Bowl, which has only happened like 4 times in the past 30 years, then that opens it up a lot, because then you have the Ravens, then you have the Broncos, because both those teams finished in last place
the
last
Jets
season.
were in last place last season.
Yeah, the Jets are horrible. And so, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, no one would be surprised if one of those 2 teams got the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
or
the
or
difference-
is the context of the question is a crappy team who won not a lot of
Yes,
games and has been bad for a while, who can turn it around and
That's
get
the
the
question.
Super Bowl.
The question is which team traded for a Hall of Fame quarterback, or which team now has every player back from ACL injuries and COVID, which was the Ravens. I think it's more the latter question. Quick
Okay.
twist of words, Breech.
I'm going to go with
Yeah, I mean the Jets aren't a horrible choice.
you know what's funny though? I honestly would take. So I think the Jets are probably better than the team I'm about to say.
You're
But
gonna
I'm
say
gonna
you're
go-
gonna say Jaguars, aren't you?
And nope, wrong. I'm going to say the Giants or the Lions.
Lions, yes. Giants. What gives you any hope that the Giants team will not be terrible?
Because Terrible can make the playoffs in the NFC. Terrible's not going to make the playoffs in the AFC. So if the Jets win 9 games, they might not make the playoffs in the AFC. They're loaded. Like, look at all the teams.
The Jets win 9 games.
Well, we're saying, can the
Yeah.
Jets turn it around? If the Jets
whole
or
point.
Jacksonville, they have to get in the playoffs over the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the whole entire AFC West. And so,
Yeah, but then you have to make a little playoff run there too, which is, again, we're talking about the Bengals. So the Giants, number one, I don't know if there's a scenario where they win 9 games, is there?
I mean, they're in the NFC East.
And they're the worst team in that division.
Well, it's just how close are the Giants to the 7th best spot in the NFC versus how close are the Jets or Jacksonville to the 7th best spot in the AFC.
We've
That's
had
how I view it.
we've had
You have to get in the
AFC
playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. And I don't think the Jets are.
Is that true?
That's what I heard.
Interesting.
That's a rumor.
I like the Lions argument a little better. I think that division's easier to finish something other than last. I think they're better than the Bears. Again, we'll see what happens with Kevin O'Connell and Kirby Cousins. Maybe that'll change the scenery, be a good thing and the coaches have to be a good thing for the Vikings. I don't know.
It's look, I don't want to disparage Garrett Padell, our coworker, but Please stop.
That's what Brinson
Please
says.
stop what? I
The
mean,
Jets, Zach Wilson. The Jaguars are a much better pick.
well, you haven't defended them. You've just been over there reading golf.
The
tweets.
Bengals won the division, and Joe Burrow had like a monster year.
Zach Wilson can't have a monster year.
Zach Wilson doesn't have the pedigree of Joe Burrow. Trevor
Joe
Lawrence does.
What pedigree? Joe Burrow played 1 year. He was
In college.
But
We
Joe
saw him
Burrow-
win a
he
title.
played 1 year in
And
college.
showed flashes.
And he
of
won a
being good.
title. Zach Wilson went to BYU.
Burrow showed flashes of being good his rookie year. We've seen
Yes.
nothing from Zach Wilson.
I would
That's
say
disrespectful.
nothing. Like Zach Wilson was like, ooh, this guy's got a Kyle Bowler style arm. I much prefer Trevor Lawrence.
If you had to bet on Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, or Daniel Jones to get to the Super Bowl, who are you betting on?
Jared Goff.
Joe Burrow. Trevor Lawrence, excuse me.
Taking Jared Goff.
You are taking Jared Goff. I
Who
don't
are you
know. Who I would
taking?
bet on. I don't know.
Goff.
Not
Yeah.
Zach Wilson. Not Zach Wilson.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But I mean, that's the question.
I don't know. I just think that Brian Dable might be able to turn the Giants around. And
Well, that's the hope. But I mean, we have seen very little evidence prior to
Daniel Jones. That's
him
the
showing
answer.
up.
All right, let's move on. Ridiculous. Josh Alvarez asks if you could live in one fictional universe, what would it be? Breaches is the answer. Marvel, Harry Potter, etc.
There you go. Brinson's going with Marvel.
Etc.
Brinson's going with Marvel.
Yeah.
He wants to be He-Man.
That's not Marvel.
I know that's like you making fun of Sean about Star Trek.
Castle Grayskull. I do love He-Man. I
Can
don't
you
know
name-
the
can you
answer would
name
be
the-
Marvel though.
Hold on. Can you name the live action actor who played He-Man in the 1987?
Dolph
He-Man.
Lundgren.
You said his name wrong, dum-dum. You had it though.
Dolph Lundgren.
No,
Ralph Lundgren.
Dolph is right. You can't get his. He said
Dolph Benson.
Breech called him Lozenge or something. What'd you call him?
You got him Lundgren. I think it's right.
Dolph Lundgren.
What? Say it again.
But Breach
Lundgren.
Mike keeps cutting out every time you
Wait, stop talking for a second. Go ahead, Breech.
Lundgren.
No. Lungren. Lundgren. But Breach, you did know it was
You
Dolph.
came with that
Still
so
got
quick, Breach. You definitely went and saw that as a kid too.
It's on HBO Max right now. By the way,
17 billion times.
Live action He-Man is?
Courtney Cox is in there.
Yeah.
Is she
Looking
old?
like Courtney.
Young?
Yeah, she looks like she did in the Bruce Springsteen video.
Really?
That version of Courtney Cox.
Man,
I feel like
late 80s.
Debo would pick the world of Ace Ventura because the Eagles actually made the Super Bowl.
I was wondering where you're going. Which world? So Brinson's in Marvel. Where are you living, Breach?
no, I don't think they're doing Marvel.
Oh.
Marvel, a lot of bad stuff happens in the Marvel.
Well, that's the other
universe,
thing. Like
and
Star
it doesn't
Wars,
really benefit any of the regular humans there.
like Star Wars, you're going to get shot and killed.
Yeah.
You get to fly spaceships, but for how long?
That's the other because I was thinking like Westeros, you're dying in 3 seconds. Somebody's chopping your head off, you're getting blown up.
Yeah, absolutely not Westeros.
So well, that's what I'm saying. So you got to be careful what you pick here because you don't want to die in the first 10 minutes you're in your fictional world.
I don't know where you.
And I don't want to be turned into a cat, so I'm not going to Harry Potter world.
What are the other universes? There's like
I don't know. I would
DC.
I'm going to live in the Shrek universe.
Shrek might be. a
No
good
one dies. You just mind your own business. Go live in a swamp.
Yeah.
happy
But
there.
what's a uplifting Disney movie?
Toy Story, because then the toys are alive.
Yeah, but there's the guy who owns
Oh,
Toy
Toy Story is sneaky. Like, no. But if you live in Toy Story, do you have to be a toy or are you like a person?
I mean,
If
it's
you're-
up to you, I think.
If you're a toy, that's not a great situation. Because what's his
If you're
name?
a toy, that's worse than Westeros.
Well, it's not worse. It's similar.
At least Westeros, you can just go be a farmer somewhere, like in a far off.
Yeah, they show up and burn your house down, and then they
Oh,
cut
yeah,
your head
but
off.
like you're a toy. You're subject to the whims of like Annabelle Breach
Yeah.
or Robbie Brinson. God knows. No offense, kid.
Again, faulty parenting. Yeah,
Or-
this is a tough question. Let me see. What's
I mean, I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm
What
not
about
so sure
Jurassic
your
Park
life
world?
isn't better than some of these.
why
others.
would that be good? Jurassic
Because
Park.
you live in a world where dinosaurs exist. That would
Oh,
be fun.
you want to go to Jurassic Park
No, I don't
That's
want to go
great,
to
sir.
Jurassic Park.
Are you
I just
on
want
the island?
you live in a world where dinosaurs are alive. That's it.
Are you on the island? Yes or
No,
no?
I'm not on the island. No,
Okay.
I'm not on the island.
So you just
Yeah,
live.
this-
So it's you.
I get to live knowing that dinosaurs exist. Everything else is the same. That's cool.
Oh, you know what?
How is that better?
That's much better.
It's you right now, but there are deadly dinosaurs roaming loose
Breech is
because
the guy.
some idiot couldn't contain them in a park.
Breech is the guy feeding the velociraptors. Oh,
You're
this
like,
is a great job.
You're like, I have my, I have
have-
the same existence, but I'm going to add random deadly dinosaurs roaming the world because they were released. Because every time, because as Dr. Ian, what was his last name?
Sure.
Malcolm.
Dr.
Yeah,
Malcolm.
nice. Look at Breech.
Yeah,
I know
Ian
my
Malcolm
friend's
said.
car.
All right. What
I-
about
I
this?
find
This
joy.
actually might not be a terrible one. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the details of the movie, but Avatar might be okay. Okay,
I've never
place.
seen it.
Oh God, it's fantastic. Didn't
I've
you ride
been
the
on
ride?
but I've never seen it.
You got to
What
work
kind
in
of-
outer space. You're dealing with aliens, and there's a 50% chance you die.
No, you live on the Avatar world. Would you get to fly the little dragon things? And
I think have you done the ride at Disney?
no, I haven't been to Disney in 8
It
years.
is.
I remember you talking about it, but it's even more disconcerting that you still have not seen the movie. You have no frame
I
of
was
reference.
supposed to watch it and live tweet it
I was
because the Bruins lost to the Hurricanes last year. And
no, literally no one
And you
cares.
didn't reschedule it? There are a lot of people on pins and needles waiting for that, Brinson.
Look at Breech out of nowhere with the overhead right.
What about Ryan also always loves to say we live in a simulation. What about the Matrix?
Yeah,
No,
I
it's-
mean,
well,
the problem is
ooh,
though when
can I
you
just eat the blue pill and I'm just done with it? I'm just like, like a pod.
Yeah,
but
you're not alive. You don't have to deal with the robots. You just live
no,
in the
but the
Matrix.
problem
pretty
is if you
incredible.
get killed in the simulation, you're dead. That's the problem.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like if you die in real life, you're dead.
oh, The Simpsons.
Ooh. Sign me up.
Like he could be Ned Flanders.
Did you guys say like Looney Tunes World?
Yeah, Looney Tunes World counts, but like which one?
Are you?
Like-
But are you like?
Coyote, Roadrunner.
Are
you're like
you
Michael
animated?
No,
Jordan.
You're yourself in the Looney. So in
You're
in
just
Space
like
Jam,
Right.
there is like you do survive. Like you can like be beat up and punched and have an anvil dropped in your head and it
I
just.
think like Michael Jordan would have had a pretty good time if he didn't have to beat the Monstars and focus all his energy on building a basketball team.
Thank
I
you for not saying
That's
the
a movie I
Monsters.
didn't. I never saw. I never
But I
saw.
also
LeBron
don't want an
James, I
animal
was
dropped
hanging
on my
out.
head.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know if I could live in an animated world full time because that's like
I mean, it's better than like Westeros and or real life.
Or is this like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you're in the
That's what I
human
was trying to-
world and
yeah.
animated people live there?
No, it's not because Who Framed Roger Rabbit is his own world as opposed to Looney Tunes, which clearly has
That's what I
separate
just
rules
said.
for each
That's what I
for the
just said,
humans
Brinson.
that interact with the animated people. Please pay attention.
I literally just said that. I said, would you rather live in the Who Framed Roger
No,
Rabbit?
you said,
world?
or is it a Roger Rabbit situation?
Right, which
It's
is a
not,
different
because
world.
it's not
which is a
Roger
different
Rabbit.
world.
Correct.
World.
Right. It would not be Roger Rabbit
You're
because
just
it's not.
jealous because my idea is better than yours.
Oh my God. So you want to live in Roger Rabbit like a freak show? You think
Have you
you
seen Jessica Rabbit? Yes.
I knew it. I
Have
knew
you
it. You
seen
have some
Jessica
small
Rabbit?
chance with Jessica Rabbit, and you don't. You have zero chance with Jessica Rabbit.
That's incorrect.
I can't believe your wife has to hear that when she listens to this podcast. She's like, you're like, whoa, but wait, Jessica Rabbit's there. It's like, yeah,
my God.
Jessica Biel's in real life. You have no chance with Jessica Biel.
and guess what? Neither one's talking to you.
Correct. Especially when you're like, by the way, I chose this world for you. She's like, oh my God.
Why are
Oh,
you
th-
using your Sean voice to me? That's no. I'm done.
All right, let's go to the next question.
That's a tough question.
That's a tough one. Let us know in the comments. I forgot.
Yeah, let's go to the next question. It's my favorite one on the podcast.
What can Brown do for you at Bleep Checker? Is this still considered a daily podcast?
No,
It sure feels that way.
8 times a week.
F you.
Brinson is now taking off 9 days a week, and since there's only 7 days a week, that's
I'll take
throwing
two
the
weeks
math
off. I don't care. I mean, I care deeply, obviously, about this podcast. Right?
You-
Is it?
in Brinson's defense. This podcast
No,
has pretty
I'm
much.
just curious. Like, what would lead you to believe this is not a daily podcast?
Well, I think last week or 2 weeks ago there was a little
There's
rut
a
in
day
there,
where it didn't happen.
and then
Or
the second
you
day after
didn't
that showed
show
up like 4 p.m. So it was
Yeah.
almost. It felt like 2 episodes of people who tune in the morning or look to download it. in the
I know
morning.
that Breach and I did a couple Friday mailbags by ourselves. I won't name
I
names.
called instead of
Breach just had to make stuff up for the newsletter.
Oh my
Like,
god!
what
Whoa,
crazy
you're
thing would
telling me
Brinson say
that you're
today?
telling me that a like area sports writer has to come up with his own ideas? Is that what?
I'm supposed to rehash the podcast, so
Oh, please.
At
An
PF
outrageous question. An
At PF
outrageous question.
at PF Doom asks, when's Benson going to come on the podcast sober? As the follow up. No answer. I
all these
guess.
people just grilling Brinson. Man, what's going on here?
Is this in the chat? I forgot to turn on.
No, it's if you scroll down the questions that Debo gave us.
Probably in 2023.
All right.
That's fair. That's over under.
All right.
We'll get one more serious question.
Let me ask a would you rather, and then we'll get out of here. A follow up would you
No,
rather?
I at full sin 7, at full sin Sven, whose name is Steve, asked, would you trade Tyler Lockett for the 1.09 in this year's rookie draft? This is a dynasty question. I would rather. I'm trying to think who's the 109 in this class.
I have no idea because I don't play.
Well, you're a draft writer, so
I don't
think
play.
of the 8. Who are the best offensive players in this draft in their landing spots?
But the quarterbacks won't go in the top 8, right?
The your quarterback situation on your dynasty league would matter for sure, but these quarterbacks kind of stink. So
Jonathan Taylor, like he's number 1.
No. It's a rookie draft only.
Oh, rookie draft.
Yes,
okay.
like only the guys from this.
Oh, I see. So he wants to trade Tyler Lockett to get to the 9th pick to find something
Right.
better.
So is Drake London the first?
Drake London, Chris Olave will be in New Orleans. Garrett Wilson will be with the Jets. Jets also got the running back. From
So
Iowa
basically,
State.
the question is, can you get someone? Is the 9th best rookie? Will that person give you the production of Tyler Lockett?
Tyler Lockett with Drew Lockett or
without
Geno
Russ
Smith.
Wilson? That's close, right? So Ken Walker will be in Seattle. I mean, Ken Walker might be more productive than Tyler Lockett.
All right, I'm going to use dynastyleaguefootball.com, a great resource for dynasty fantasy owners. Breece Hall, the number 1.
Breece, that's the
option.
name I couldn't think of.
Drake London 2, Garrett Wilson 3, Kenneth Walker 4, Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson 9. The question is, would you rather have Jahan Dotson?
Couple things.
Or Tyler Lockett?
Jameson Williams is not going to be ready.
I would take Jameson Williams.
Treylon Burks is struggling with sort of asthmatic issues, it sounds like, already. George Pickens is a 2nd round pick. I don't know how much he's going to play. So Tyler Lockett feels like the better choice.
Well, and you could also get Sky Moore, Christian Watson, or James Cook if you wanted to there. So
Christian Watson.
I think I would.
I would say Tyler Lockett.
But I think it depends on where your team is. So, like, if your team is in a good spot where you think you can win this year, probably Tyler Lockett. If your team is sort of rebooting and you're like, Tyler Lockett could go for 800 yards this year.
Sky Moore could go for 800 yards.
Yeah.
Right. But one of them is a rookie as the 3rd option on a great Chiefs team who's going to become a better option.
But is anybody taking Sky Moore? Anyone taking Sky Moore 9th overall in the dynasty draft?
He's going like top 12.
Or you can only take rookies, maybe.
Huh.
Tyler Lockett's 29. Will be 30 by the time a month into the season.
Right.
He's not going to have a good quarterback for at least. Like, he's going to be 31. Let's see, Tyler Lockett contract. Because if I feel like he's under contract for.
Just signed a new deal.
He's under contract through 2025. They can get rid of him after 2023. Actually, they get rid of him after this year. Whoa. He has no guaranteed money left after this year.
Uh-oh. Don't. Get rid of Lockett.
Well, no, I think you want him off Seattle. Like, if Tyler Lockett signed with the Chiefs after this season, you would take Tyler Lockett over Sky Moore for the next 3 years, right?
But then you're just giving up on 2022? Just tanking?
Tank for Tua.
I don't take in fantasy.
I would trade Tyler Lockett unless I was sure I was contending and I felt like I needed a wide receiver 3 option.
Brinson.
I would trade Tyler Lockett for that pick and draft James Cook.
You play to win the
The
game.
game.
Not in Dynasty. You play to win the long game.
No,
Breech.
you play to win the game every year.
That's not how this
You win the
works.
short game, the long game, the medium game. You never want to lose. Which league do you want to lose in?
Zach Taylor, 2021, right before the Super Bowl game. All right, I'm going to ask this question. We'll get out of here. With no experience whatsoever and with your life depending on a finish in the top half of the field, would you rather have to be a jockey in the Kentucky Derby or a driver in the Indy 500?
Oh, 8,500.
You have to finish the top half of the field. You have to go.
I'm probably winning it.
You know what the 500 stands for, right?
Yeah, I mean,
What? He doesn't know.
500 laps.
That's right. 500 miles.
Yeah.
So the race will be over in short order. You got to drive for 500.
At least you get to drive an Indy car for 500 laps.
Well, it doesn't matter. Your life depends on it.
Well, it's not the same thing though. It's not 500 laps.
500 miles, whatever.
That's
It's
what I
200
said.
laps. 200
I
laps.
said
When that
500
horse
miles.
comes out limp of the gate, you're like, oh, I'm dead in 65 seconds.
Well, and the other part is like I feel like I'm the only person here that is
Oh,
jockey size.
That's true.
So it's gonna be hard to
That's the
finish.
only person who. Do you have any experience with horses? Because
No, I'm just saying this would be if you weigh more or taller, it's gonna be harder to finish in the top half of the field, which is
I'm sorry,
automatic.
did you say way more taller?
Way more
Way
or
more-
taller.
Or you're taller. So if your weight is high or you are tall, you don't want to be
If
the
you're
jockey.
way more or taller.
That's what he said. Yeah.
I thought you said if you're way more taller, you're in trouble.
No, he's
So
not you.
it'll make it harder to finish in the top half of the field if either of those things are true.
That's-
So
that's a good point.
I agree with Brinson. That's where I was going with this point, and he was trying to
Dunk on you.
mess up English again.
Why did you,
Pretend like he
why
didn't
did
know what I
you
was saying.
disagree with me to agree with me?
I didn't disagree with you.
You're
I was
like, well,
explaining
hold on a
why.
second. As the only person who's short enough to be a jockey.
I was explaining why being in the Derby would not be a good decision.
So you would rather be, I guess if you're in the car for 500 miles, you can just never get out of the car. And then maybe that case you can never get killed.
Well, that's right. The driver has taken off, folks. He has moved straight past the track and is driving down the streets of Indianapolis. Well, I mean, it's also like, I can't remember if the Indy 500 applies here, but like, I know F1 stuff is like very car dependent. Like NASCAR, a driver can win. Like NASCAR,
Do you think you're a good racer, or you just rather do that than
I'm
ride a horse?
a great driver, great racer.
Who told you that?
I just am.
Debo, what are you doing? Oh, Debo just got killed by a
I've
horse.
had a few recent run-ins with horses. Despite all
Oh,
that,
that's
I'm
right.
still picking that.
Oh, he's taking the horse.
That's easy. That is the separation. This is not like a slight to jockeys, but the separation of what you need to do over the course of 200 laps as a
Right.
driver versus what you need to do
Fair.
in 2 minutes. Like
I think it's a
you
good point.
can ride that horse if you have a great horse, even if you have the best car. The separation between you and those drivers' skill level is
That's
so
a good
insane.
point.
There's no way you're in the top half.
Oh, but wait, Debo, are you accounting for the fact that Brinson says he's a great driver?
I don't buy that.
No,
Sure
it
you
does.
don't.
I think Debo makes a strong point. And Breech, do you want to reconsider now that you are diminutive and you would have a top flight horse?
Debo just convinced me to go to the Derby. I'm in the Derby. I'm
Well,
going to train
if
for the
you're-
Derby. I'm going to get in the Derby in 2 years. How about
The
that?
Okay, that's not true. The Derby is like a way. Like, there is a much higher percentage chance that you win the Kentucky Derby as a jockey than you
Okay.
win the Indy 500 as a driver.
That makes zero
It's
sense.
just way more random.
No, I don't think so.
What? What do you mean? No, you don't think so. You think it's less random? What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're basing that on. That you just saying
It's
stuff. off the
the
top of your
horses
head.
running on dirt. Like it's insane horses
Guys,
running on
we have
dirt.
a commenter, Molly P, saying, as a professional horse trainer, you guys aren't going to be in the top half of a horse race. So stop with the horse race stuff.
Oh!
Are you switching again, Breech? Are you back to the
I'm
car?
switching back to my original.
Love Molly P.
Oh, professional horse trainer. Wow.
I said Indy 500 from Jump Street. I'm not changing.
Yeah, but you say a lot of things that no one.
because Debo, who can't even be around a horse without having some kind of experience, comes in and is like, "Oh, trust me, I'll take."
I'm
horse."
not saying either are likely.
What happened?
Of
What
course.
was your horse experience, Debo? Tell
I couldn't
people.
even get on the thing, and I'm saying this.
What happened?
I think he
Did
stepped
you,
on his foot, didn't it?
Who hurt you?
This horse. His
All right, so in this past year, there were 33 cars in the Indy 500. Does that sound right?
No, it seems like there's more, isn't there? Or maybe that is right. I
Sounds
guess
right.
So you have to finish 16th. there were 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby, so you
Yeah.
have to finish in the top 10.
So what are you saying? What does that lean you towards?
The one where I don't have to finish in the top 10.
You still got to finish top half. I mean, if you do the math, half is half.
Top 10 is
There's,
top 10.
there's a lot more room for a beginner to make mistakes over the course of 3-4 hours than.
But in the
Absolutely.
car race drivers also make. There could be a car wreck that knocks out 10 cars, and all of a sudden, you
Okay,
can just
let me-
drive 10 miles an hour the rest of the way, and you.
And
finish
again, the stipulation is that with zero experience. So how are you going to pull into the pit stop? You going to do that?
yeah, you just. If
How
you're
do you-
taking
how
a
do you-
left turn, Wilson, it's
How do
probably
you know?
the same.
How do you know when to go in though?
When my gas is empty, when my tires tread is low,
I'm sorry.
when
Did
my
you say-
engine light goes on.
What are you talking about? Do you know how you'll know when to go pit? When the guy in your ear says, "Come into the pit," not when your gas is empty.
Listen to Lightning McQueen here. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Well, you have a radio. You're talking. You've not ever watched any racing. You have a radio.
No.
They're talking on the radio.
Why would
It's
I
Man
like,
do
can't
I'm just like,
operate.
when my tires explode, I'll pull into the pit.
This man can't operate a goddamn scooter, yet he thinks he's Marshall Andretti.
You can't operate a goddamn horse.
Oh my gosh, you did fall off a scooter in broad daylight.
Sober. Embarrassing.
Well, I think
Were you sober when the horse stepped on your face?
Yeah.
you were sober. You were going to work.
I just said I was sober on the scooter when I fell off.
I thought you were trying to make the differentiation between you and Debo. Well, I think that's the point of the question. It's not easy. It's not an easy answer.
No, I
Unlike-
mean, you're probably dying either way.
Unlike the diaper and crying answer. Got that one.
Okay.
Ironically, you should wear a diaper while doing either of these events and then good to go.
Yes, and that way, when you die, you'll be wearing a diaper. All right. And that was the would you rather. That was not a mailbag question.
Right.
It's a good one. That may be the best would you rather yet.
That's
More of
pretty-
those, Wilson. More of those.
They're coming.
And that'll do it for the podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope you either have or had a great weekend. For Breech, for Wilson, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.